talking about Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead. I just got my copy right up here too. I got the Blu-ray, just the normal Blu-ray, the unrated director's cut. Good stuff
I just
there.
say 300 on it.
From the director of 300.
Oh.
But anyway, Dawn of the Dead, directed by Zack Snyder, is what we're going to be talking about today. So yeah, there's the thumbnail. Anyway, what's your quick thoughts when you think of Dawn of the Dead? Is it positive or negative for you?
I've always liked it. I'd only seen it once until I rewatched it this week. So, but yeah, I mean, it's good.
It's really good. Yeah, I'm not a huge Zack Snyder fan, mind you. That might be a little controversial to say, but Zack Snyder's been one of those directors. He's a lot of flash, maybe not so much substance in all his films. There's some movies I really do love of his. Watchmen. I really enjoyed the Zack Snyder cut of Justice League, which you can find the review on the channel. But Dawn of the Dead has been one of my favorite films from him. So I've always been kind of positive on this one. And going back and rewatching, I remember there's a lot of sequences that I thoroughly, really enjoyed and dug. So we're going to get into the movie right now. I will kind of give you this brief synopsis for the film. A zombie apocalypse happens and a bunch of people go to the mall today. Anyway, so a group of survivors make their way to a mall, and they must keep back the herd and survive as long as possible, and try to find a way to survive. I think that's the basics of the plot right there. I think that's pretty much, you can't really go into much depth because there's survive. That's what you have to do in the zombie apocalypse. What really stood out when you watch? What things do you like about the movie?
Well, it really is more of like a reimagining than it is a remake, I would say. But what I like is like it constantly is changing what genre it's in. Because like at the beginning, I feel like it's like it sets up like a early 2000s slasher or something like that. But the zombies are just like vicious. And after that, it becomes kind of like a thriller-ish thing, and then it's just an action movie. And it's like it's got the like overblown rhythmic production that we have come to expect from Zack Snyder. And what I also like is that it takes 28 Days Later, which changed the zombie movie game because it made them like fast. But but that movie is sort of grounded in reality. This is still sort of in the fantasy realm a little bit, so it doesn't take itself all that seriously at all. But I mean, I can see why people like to just like see comical violence and brains exploding and like zombies ripping people apart. But like I kind of prefer like the more of the found footage kind of feel, the smaller budget with where you might actually get to know the characters a little bit. But yeah, I mean this movie does have the appeal and like these big action sequences. Like I completely forgot about the Down with the Sickness lounge version thing, which is kind of awesome. I didn't even know that song existed. I obviously completely forgot it was in this movie, and that was pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's a great little opening too. That when that song plays, it's awesome. It makes you like really hyped to kill some zombies too. So yeah, for me, this definitely brought back a lot of memories of rewatching it. I've watched it several times over the years. I know you said this is like your second time or something, but I do have memories of watching it just being so hyped out of my mind when things happen on screen. There's one sequence we'll talk about later that I feel is one of the most unique and grossest sequences I've ever seen in a zombie movie that happened in here. Even now it's really kind of tough to watch, but it's so effective in that little sequence, but it breaks up the different genres that you mentioned as well. You definitely feel like there's different points, different acts is a different genre of horror in the zombie movie. And it's I think Zack Snyder, give or take, this is his most un-Zack Snyder-y film. I think the ending of the movie kind of becomes really Zack Snyder-y, but the whole other movie is really done. It's such a great way. I would never associate this movie with Zack Snyder unless I absolutely knew already. But anyway, if you could say, what was your favorite scene in the movie?
Well, I liked everything with the other guy that was on the other building that they were communicating with. And so like, I mean, it's obviously like kind of funny that they're playing chess or whatever and stuff. But like when they actually send over the dog or whatever, like that scene is actually really nerve wracking to watch. And
Yeah, it is.
um, that's the kind of thing where it's like Zack Snyder knows how to like craft a scene. You just can't make a really great movie, but like individual things like that, I think are really effective in a movie like this.
Definitely. That sequence is probably one of my favorites too, the dog sequence, and it just gets every time I always forget that girl goes over and tries to rescue this dog, and it's always so aggravating. It's like, oh great, now they have to go change their plan up again, and it's just like, ah. That's the one thing for whatever reason I can never remember that actually happens, but it just that proves how effective that sequence is too, because it's like it's something that's kind of subverts your expectations in a way, because you're thinking one thing's going to happen, then something else happens. One of my favorite shots in this or scenes in this movie is that opening sequence. That opening is probably one of my favorites in probably any zombie movie. It's just fascinating that dick doctor with you're following this nurse, and she goes home and has a romantic evening with her husband probably, and then that little girl that's set up a little bit earlier in the movie shows up in their room and ready to lay down some killing and bites. And that whole opening is crazy. And the one gripe is when she hit her head against that bathroom tile, she would have been knocked out. I think like there's no way she's getting up from that, but it's a movie. That opening is really heart pounding, and this leads into like the opening kind of like credits of it as well. So it's I thoroughly enjoy the opening of this movie. It's a pretty heart pounding, and it kind of sets up this world, how quickly it goes from 0 to 100 just like that.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, the opening definitely sets the tone. Yeah,
it sets it up in a really good way. And of course, as a person who has played a lot of video games to it and zombies, I couldn't help but maybe they paid homage, or maybe video games got this from the movie too. I had to look back in the release dates, but Dead Rising, which is a video game that stars Frank West. He's a photographer going to, document this zombie outbreak, and they are in a mall the entire time of the movie. So they have to save the survivors in this mall. I'm like, did they plan on having it in a mall, or did this come after the game? I can't remember exactly the timeline on the years, but anyway, I thought that was cool. And also you had the gun owner across the way, which you mentioned, and Resident Evil 2 is known for having crazy gun owners, or pretty much gun owners that you can feel emotional for too. So there's some definitely cool tributes to other zombie things in this film.
Yeah, well, I mean, the original was in a mall as well. The original.
There we go. So then never mind. See, this is why I need to see that one. So.
Yeah, well, I mean, but everything else is pretty much different. But like, what I think is funny is like the year after this comes out, like 40-Year-Old Virgin comes out, and there's that scene where Jay is watching Dawn of the Dead, the original, and I was like, and he's like, "Oh, bitch, get out the room! Bitch, get out the room!" And I kept thinking that during this movie. I was like, he could easily be saying it about like that scene or like that scene, but it was obviously the original one, not the one that was coming out probably when they were filming that movie. But
yeah, but still,
it's sort of a classic. Like everyone loves this movie.
Yeah, what I kind of really like about the movie too is that you kind of know when you introduce the characters exactly who they are before they even say a single word. Did you know? It's like, yeah. You're going to be trouble. Yeah, you're probably going to be trouble, and yeah, you're probably going to be okay. Or you're dead. You're dead. I kind of got that impression from everybody in this movie when you first get introduced to them before they even say anything. Did you get that feeling at all?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, they cast it in that way, though. I mean, you got, Michael Kelly, I think, is like a really underrated talent in Hollywood. But yeah, you could tell exactly just by the look on his face. The first time you see him, like, okay, you know exactly where that character is going. And like Sarah Polley, it's like, why is she in the movie? She's obviously the main character, so it's like, okay, you kind of know what's going on. And then obviously Ving Rhames is kind of hard to mistake. So yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, Ving Rhames in another zombie movie, because he was also in Day of the Dead too. Or Day of the Dead as well.
Is he playing the same character? I mean, he probably is.
Probably he's in the military in that one. Well, I don't think he's a Marine. Is he a Marine? Is he the same character? Oh my god. Okay, what's his name in Dawn of the Dead here? Let's see here.
Kenneth.
Oh, he was in the army. Okay. Then never mind. My research partner has said that he's in the army.
Fact checker.
Fact checker, yeah, she's a fact checker. Ving Rhames kicks a lot of ass in this movie too. I enjoy his character, even though it's clear, like, well, we're gonna make him a Marine. We're gonna tattoo United States Marine Corps on his arm. Yeah, we're gonna make him. So it's very like stereotypical, like casting wise. I think it's pretty cool. But one person we're binge watching a show right now, and that's Modern Family. And I totally forgot that Ty Burrell, Phil Dunphy, is in this movie. Totally different than how he is that I kind of know him from the show now. Yeah, so it's kind of crazy after rewatching movies. You recognize people much later before they're actually popular, and so that kind of threw me off guard, especially after you see the in credits. Like he's like this playboy, and like he's totally a nerd in Modern Family, and so he's totally different. But it just kind of proves that he's kind of maybe a good actor. So have you ever like come across like I know him from this thing, and then I go back and rewatch him, I totally forget that he's in, and he's totally different than I imagine him being?
Well, I mean, I can't, not off the top of my head, but yeah, I mean, that kind of thing happens a lot, especially when you get to know them from something like a sitcom where you've seen them for hundreds of hours of whatever, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh yeah, they did that like even before, or like in the middle of that, or, you know, yeah.
Yeah,
and Todd Burrell is genuinely interesting in this movie.
Yeah, he just randomly has a boat and he has his keys with him all the time. So yeah, he's a pretty interesting character. Is there anything that you absolutely just didn't click well with you on this movie?
Not necessarily. I mean, I knew what I was getting into this time, because like just knowing that it's Zack Snyder, you kind of get the idea that it's going to be a straight action movie, because I didn't remember that much of it because it had been like a long time since I watched it. But I mean, for me, it was just a really kind of really good looking and pleasing zombie action movie, and that's really all I could ask for when going into a Zack Snyder movie.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And then I'm going to be very interested to see how he retackles another zombie movie, because we have Army of the Dead coming out on Netflix, and it's kind of cool that it's going in the theaters now, which I will be going to see in a few hours. Pretty stoked about that, but it's gonna be interesting to see how different, or how maybe some of the same. Instead of being in a mall this time, it's in Vegas, so there's so much different, more possibilities for cool zombie kills there, and you have a pretty good cast in that movie as well. So I'm very intrigued to see how he goes back into the world of zombies. Are you excited for Army of the Dead by chance? And you think
it's another zombie movie, but I mean, I wasn't even that aware of it until like just really recently. So, which, I mean, I don't know how a movie like that could sneak up on people like this one did, because Zack Snyder is as big a name in the industry as anybody.
I think Dawn of the Dead would have been a fun movie to watch on the big screen too. Just, you can't help, you've seen a good action movie and how clean and crisp this movie was. It definitely would be a cool big screen watch for me. Anyway, any last closing remarks on Dawn of the Dead?
Well, like for you, I definitely go watch the original too, because
I need to watch it.
Yeah, the original's got some crazy shit in there too. But yeah, I mean, I think this is as good as Zack Snyder can get. So
yeah, I definitely, like I said, it doesn't feel like a Zack Snyder movie until you realize, oh, it's Zack Snyder.
You can see certain things when you know that, though. Like there are certain times I was like, okay, this seems like almost like it's building to like a superhero kind of scene. Like I could see why he went into comics after this. But
that's a good point. But there's also certain elements too, like that he was able to do in this movie that I don't like. That whole the dread. I put this on the thumbnail for the reason. I'll show this pop it up again. That lady on my right hand side there. She clearly gets wheeled out by a wheelbarrow from that truck. It's like there's some bad things about to happen. It didn't pay off like I thought it was going to be, but then it's like some crazy stuff is about to go down. The whole world got flipped over on that right there. So he's an effective director, but he relies a lot on the superheroes, and he's definitely a fan director, a fan of movies. He's a director for those people. He's not making the films for critics, really. So there's pros and cons to that, I guess. But one thing
he's not held down by the being by source material and stuff. He's able to do what he wants to do and not have to try to please the comic fans, because like zombie fans are fans of basically any kind of zombie movie, and he's able to play with the stuff and make it a Snyder movie in some ways, but he's not held down by having to withstand the mythology of everything, and which he can't really do that well, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's a good point too. I guess one last thing I'll say about the movie is that it definitely provided one of the most unique and grossest scenes I've seen in a zombie movie, and that is the pregnancy scene when there's a baby zombie that comes out. That scene is just kind of gross and hard to watch at times, but it's effective. It does what it does, and you can slowly see the deterioration of the one character. I can't remember his name right now, but you see his deterioration as he goes from this guy who just wants to protect his girl. Then all of a sudden you reveal that there's a scratch on her, and then you kind of realize that she's going to turn into a zombie, but you don't quite realize there's going to be a zombie baby. Yeah, pretty crazy, especially when they shoot off that blood. He's like, "Oh, the baby's coming now." It's like, "Oh no, don't show this scene, please." Probably one of the best pregnancy scenes since Knocked Up. I would say that probably one of the best pregnancy. There's a power rankings right there for Almost Sideways.
Well,
Best
of course,
pregnancy
Pieces of a Woman.
Oh yeah, good. Yeah. Oh my god, heartbroken again.
Just as disturbing, but in a different way.
In a totally different way. Anyway, well, that's our quick thoughts on Dawn of the Dead. Did you guys like this film? Did you guys not like it? Let us know in the comment section down below what you guys thought. My name is Adam, and this is Todd, the Almost Sideways Movie Podcast. Hit subscribe and make sure you guys check out our podcast on Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, and Pandora. So next time, we'll see you later.